In the pouring rain of a forgotten alley in the heart of a bustling city, where the neon lights flickered like dying stars, a poor single dad named Jack stumbled upon a sight that would change his life forever. He was on his way home from his night shift at the warehouse, his worn-out boots sloshing through puddles, when he heard a faint gasp. There, slumped against a dumpster, was a young girl, no more than 10 years old, her clothes torn, her face pale as death. Blood trickled from a gash on her forehead, and her breaths came in shallow, ragged whispers. Jack's heart stopped. Who was she? How did she end up here? Without a second thought, he scooped her up in his strong but weary arms, her tiny body limp against his chest. But as he rushed toward the nearest hospital, a shadowy figure emerged from the darkness, watching him with cold eyes. Was this just a random accident, or something far more sinister? Hold on tight, because this story is about to unfold in ways you won't believe. Jack burst through the emergency room doors, rain dripping from his coat, shouting for help. Nurses and doctors swarmed around him, taking the girl from his arms and wheeling her away on a gurney. "She's not breathing right," one yelled. Jack paced the sterile hallway, his mind racing. He was a simple man, 38 years old, with calloused hands from years of manual labor. His wife had passed away 5 years ago from cancer, leaving him to raise their son, Tommy, alone. They lived in a cramped apartment on the wrong side of town, scraping by on Jack's meager salary. Bills piled up like mountains, and some nights, dinner was just bread and water. Why had he gotten involved? He could have walked away, but something in that girl's eyes, before they closed, reminded him of his late wife, vulnerable and fighting. Hours ticked by as Jack waited, his phone dead, no way to call home to check on Tommy. Finally, a doctor emerged, his face grim. "She's stable for now, but she's in a coma. We need to run tests." "Do you know her family?" Jack shook his head. "No, Doc. I just found her." The doctor nodded, but then added, "There's something else. She has a strange tattoo on her wrist, a symbol I've never seen. And, we found traces of a rare poison in her system." Poison? Jack's blood ran cold. Who would do this to a child? As the sun rose the next morning, Jack sat by the girl's bedside, holding her small hand. The hospital room was quiet, save for the beeping of machines. He had called in sick to work, knowing he'd probably lose his job, but he couldn't leave her. Tommy, his 8-year-old son, had come with him after school, wide-eyed and curious. "Dad, is she gonna be okay?" Tommy asked, clutching a drawing he'd made, a stick figure family with an extra girl in it. Jack forced a smile. "I hope so, buddy." Days turned into weeks. The girl, whom they temporarily named Lily because of a lily-shaped pendant around her neck, remained in her coma. Jack visited every day, reading her stories from Tommy's old books, talking about his life as if she could hear. He shared memories of his wife, Sarah, how she'd laugh at his bad jokes, how she'd dream of a better life for their family. The hospital bills mounted, and Jack took on odd jobs, washing cars, delivering papers, to cover what he could. But the poison's effects lingered, Lily's organs were failing slowly. One night, as Jack dozed in the chair, Lily's eyes fluttered open. She whispered, "Where am I?" Jack bolted upright. "You're safe, kiddo. I'm Jack. I found you." But her next words sent a chill down his spine, "They're coming for me." Lily's awakening brought a mix of joy and terror. She had no memory of her past, just fragments of a luxurious life, fancy cars, and a man she called Daddy, who was always busy. But she remembered running, hiding from bad men who wanted to hurt her. Jack reported it to the police, but they dismissed it as a child's imagination, especially since no missing persons report matched her description. Or so they said. Jack suspected something was off. The detective seemed too quick to close the case. Meanwhile, Lily bonded with Jack and Tommy. She laughed at Tommy's silly faces, and for the first time in years, Jack felt like his family was whole again. He taught her to make pancakes on their tiny stove, and she helped Tommy with his homework, her sharp mind surprising them both. But challenges loomed. Jack's landlord threatened eviction if he didn't pay rent, and his boss fired him for missing shifts. Worse, Lily's health dipped again. The poison had caused kidney damage, and she needed a transplant. Jack got tested. He was a match. "I'll do it," he said without hesitation. The surgery was scheduled, but on the eve of the operation, Jack received an anonymous call: "Stay away from the girl, or your son dies." Who was threatening him? And why? The surgery went ahead despite the threat, with Jack donating a kidney to save Lily. He woke up groggy, pain shooting through his side, but seeing Lily's smile made it worth it. "You saved me twice," she said, tears in her eyes. Recovery was tough for both. Jack hobbled around on crutches, unable to work, while Tommy took on more chores, his little shoulders bearing too much weight. The family grew closer, sharing stories around a flickering candle when the power was cut off. Lily began remembering more: a grand mansion, private jets, but also loneliness. Her father, a billionaire tech mogul named Victor Harrington, was always away on business, leaving her with nannies. "He loves me, but he's never there," she confided in Jack one night. Jack's heart ached. He knew the pain of absence all too well. To make ends meet, he sold his wife's old jewelry, the last memento he had. But hope flickered when a local news story aired about a missing heiress, Elara Harrington, daughter of Victor, kidnapped months ago for ransom. The photo matched Lily perfectly. Jack's jaw dropped. "That's you," he whispered. Lily gasped. "Daddy?" They decided to contact Victor, but as Jack dialed the number from the news, a black SUV screeched up outside their apartment. Masked men burst in, grabbing Lily. "No!" Jack screamed, lunging at them despite his pain. A gunshot rang out. Had he been hit? Chaos erupted in the tiny apartment. Jack tackled one intruder, his surgical wound reopening, blood soaking his shirt. Tommy hid under the bed, sobbing. The men were professionals, hired kidnappers, it turned out, the same ones who'd poisoned Lily and left her for dead when the ransom deal soured. Victor had refused to pay, thinking it was a bluff, but now they were back to finish the job. Jack fought like a lion, using a broken lamp as a weapon, but he was outnumbered. Just as a thug raised his gun to Jack's head, sirens wailed outside. The police, tipped off by an anonymous neighbor who'd seen the suspicious SUV, stormed in, arresting the men. Jack collapsed, clutching his side, as paramedics rushed to him. Lily clung to him, crying, "Don't leave me, Jack." In the hospital again, Jack learned the truth. Victor Harrington had been searching desperately, offering millions for information. The detective who dismissed Jack earlier was on the kidnapper's payroll, now exposed. Victor arrived in a helicopter, a tall man in a tailored suit, his face etched with regret. "Elara," he whispered, hugging his daughter. But Lily, Elara, pulled back. "This is my family now," she said, pointing to Jack and Tommy. The reunion was bittersweet. Victor, overwhelmed with gratitude, paid off Jack's debts, bought him a house, and set up a trust fund for Tommy's education. But more than money, Victor learned from Jack's example. He stepped back from his empire, vowing to be present for Elara. Jack, recovering from his wounds, found a new job, managing one of Victor's charities, helping other struggling families. The bond between them all grew. Holidays were spent together, blending the worlds of poverty and wealth. Elara taught her father about simple joys, like picnics in the park, while Jack showed Victor the value of hard work. Tommy gained a sister, and Jack found peace, knowing Sarah would be proud. Challenges had forged them, poverty tested resilience, danger built courage, and loss taught love. In the end, kindness, a poor dad's selfless act, bridged divides, proving that true wealth lies in the heart. Years later, As Jack watched Elara graduate college, with Tommy by her side, he reflected on that rainy night. Life's storms come, but rescuing each other, strangers or family, lights the way. Remember, viewers, a single act of compassion can rewrite destinies. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and subscribe for more inspiring tales. Thanks for watching.